You're not just a dreamer, you're an heir. That dream in your heart, that vision that keeps you up at night, it wasn't born out of ego or materialism. It was planted by God Himself. The world may look at your desire to rise, to lead, to prosper, and call it ambition, pride, or greed. But heaven sees something entirely different. Heaven sees inheritance. Heaven sees a chosen vessel waking up to their true identity. When you were formed in your mother's womb, greatness was embedded in your spirit. Not the shallow, self-serving greatness of this world, but the greatness that comes from walking in divine purpose, the kind of greatness that carries both weight and responsibility. You were never meant to merely survive, struggle, and fade away. You were created to thrive, to shine, and to steward divine resources. You were born for influence, not for vanity's sake, but to reflect God's glory in every space you enter. The reason you see wealth in your spirit is because God is preparing you to manage it in the natural. He is not raising up beggars. He is raising up kingdom financiers, builders, visionaries, reformers. This isn't about money. It's about mission. God gives to those He can trust, and those dreams of building companies, writing books, changing lives, and impacting nations, they aren't distractions. They are clues to your inheritance. You are not chasing riches. You are walking toward responsibility. You are not greedy for gold. You are hungry for impact. The world has taught you to be ashamed of dreaming big. They say, be humble, stay low, don't reach too far. But the Spirit of God says, lift your eyes, child. You're not a slave. You're a son. You're a daughter. You're an heir. An heir does not apologize for walking in the blessings of the Father. An heir does not shy away from responsibility. An heir doesn't just wait for breakthrough. They become the breakthrough others have prayed for. God doesn't give visions to entertain you. He gives them to reveal identity. The vision is not the destination. It's confirmation that your life is set apart, that your calling is real, that your hands are meant to build what others only dream about. There's a reason you don't fit into mediocrity. There's a reason your heart aches when you settle for less. It's because heaven's DNA runs through your veins. You were marked for more. The desire to be a millionaire is not a worldly obsession. It is the outcry of a spirit that knows it was born to multiply. You are not just meant to pay bills and live quietly. You were born to own, to create, to bless, to lead, to release heaven's order in a world of chaos. You are royalty under pressure, and that pressure is preparing you for dominion. Your dream is not fantasy. It is prophecy waiting to be fulfilled. And it is not just about you. It's about the legacy you were born to establish. You said, the mantle comes with mission. Wealth without wisdom destroys. But God's chosen ones carry wealth with a mantle, a heavenly calling to restore, rebuild, and reign in righteousness. Expend it in 500 words, but do not add subheading and ending sentence, ChatGPT said. Wealth is a powerful force, but in the hands of the ungodly or unprepared, it becomes a weapon of destruction rather than a tool of restoration. When wealth is pursued without the presence of wisdom, it leads to pride, corruption, and spiritual ruin. But when God chooses a person, He does not just bless them with material riches, He places a mantle upon them. A mantle is not a symbol of status. It is a sign of responsibility. It is divine evidence that the person carrying it has been chosen not only to rise, but to lead, to carry out heaven's agenda on earth. Many people in the world have wealth, but they lack the mantle. They build empires that crumble. They chase success but die with empty souls. They have power, yet no purpose. But for God's chosen ones, wealth is never the end goal. It is the resource to fulfill a divine assignment. The mantle represents the weight of heaven, the authority of the Spirit, and the call to do something eternal with temporary blessings. When God places a mantle on someone, He trusts them to not just gather wealth, but to distribute it according to kingdom principles. He trusts them to carry influence without compromising integrity, to expand territory without losing humility, and to govern resources with righteousness and discernment. The chosen ones understand that their wealth isn't for personal indulgence, but for global transformation. They are the ones who will build schools where there is ignorance, dig wells where there is thirst, raise leaders where there is hopelessness, and plant churches where there is spiritual famine. The mantle doesn't just rest on their shoulders, it burns in their bones. They carry vision, burden, compassion, and boldness. They are not intimidated by darkness because they were born to be light. They don't fear broken systems, they were raised up to reform them. God does not anoint people to sit in comfort. He anoints them to go into places where others are afraid to go. He mantles them to carry burdens that others could not bear. He fills their barns so they can fill others' bellies. He multiplies their resources so they can multiply healing, justice, and truth. These are not ordinary people, they are kingdom carriers. They understand that every dollar they earn is a seed with eternal impact. They do not move based on trends, they move based on truth. They are anchored in prayer, driven by purpose, and governed by the Spirit. To carry the mantle is to carry God's heart. To be trusted with wealth is to be trusted with souls. And that trust is not given lightly, it is earned through surrender, obedience, and the testing of time. Many want the crown, but few are willing to carry the cross that comes with the mantle. Yet those who do will not only prosper, they will establish legacies that echo into eternity. You said, delay is not denial, it's divine setup. God hid you. God trained you, now He's about to release you. The season of silence was to prepare you for unstoppable impact. Expend it in and 500 words, but do not add subheading and ending sentence, ChatGPT said. Delay is one of the most misunderstood seasons in a believer's life. To the natural mind, delay looks like rejection. It feels like failure. It seems as though prayers have fallen on deaf ears and promises have been forgotten. But in the realm of the Spirit, delay is never wasted. Delay is divine. It is the secret chamber where God molds His chosen ones, where He refines the vessel before unveiling it to the world. When God hides a person, it is never punishment. It is protection. It is preparation. It is an intentional act of love. There are times when God will remove you from the spotlight, silence your influence, and isolate you from opportunities, not because you are disqualified, but because you are destined for something greater than you can currently carry. He knows what's ahead. He sees the weight of the assignment, and before He launches you into the place of impact, He must first strengthen your shoulders to bear the mantle. He doesn't just prepare blessings for you, He prepares you for the blessings. In the hidden season, your character is sharpened, your faith is tested, your motives are purified. You learn to depend on God, not applause. You learn to obey without visibility, to worship without rewards, and to trust without explanations. God uses that silence to develop your spiritual muscles. He teaches you the sound of His voice. He trains your spirit to discern timing, so that when the door finally opens, you won't rush in prematurely. You'll walk in with confidence and wisdom. People may have overlooked you, opportunities may have passed you by, others who seemed less qualified may have been promoted before you, but none of that was an accident. The delay was divine strategy. God was writing a story that didn't need human validation. He was crafting a testimony so undeniable that when the release came, no man could take credit. What felt like stagnation was actually acceleration in the unseen realm. Many gave up in the silence, many grew weary and walked away, but you endured, you stayed faithful, you kept serving, you kept giving, you kept praying, and heaven took notice. That consistency in the quiet season was the very thing that qualified you for elevation. God does not forget faithfulness. He remembers tears, He honors endurance, and when His appointed time comes, the release is swift, powerful, and unstoppable. You will soon realize that what you thought was a setback was actually a setup. The connections are about to come, the resources are about to flow, the vision is about to manifest, and it won't be small, it won't be average, it will be undeniable, unshakable, and unmistakably God. The wait was never about denial. It was about building a foundation strong enough to carry what's coming. And now, what's coming is greater than what you could have imagined. You said, "You're not meant to fit in, you were born to stand out." The world mocked your faith, your struggle, your discipline. Now they'll witness your promotion by heaven. Expend it in and 500 words, but do not add subheading and ending sentence, ChatGPT said. There is something about being chosen by God that makes you different from the beginning. You never quite fit in. You always felt a little out of place even when you tried to blend in. While others chased comfort, you carried conviction. While the world was entertained, your soul was being awakened. From a young age, you could feel the weight of something greater resting on your life, though you couldn't explain it. And because of that, the world didn't know what to do with you. They mocked your faith. They called you foolish for believing in what you couldn't see. They laughed when you walked away from things that looked good on the outside, but didn't sit right in your spirit. They couldn't understand why you lived with such discipline. Why you sacrificed, why you said no to shortcuts, why you waited when everyone else rushed ahead. But what they didn't know was that you weren't being held back, you were being held together by the hand of God. You weren't created to blend in with a broken culture. You were born to be a light in the darkness, a voice in the wilderness, a standard in a generation that has lost its way. You carry a different spirit, a mantle that marks you, a calling that requires separation, and while the world laughed at your process, heaven was preparing your platform. Every tear you cried in secret was seen. Every lonely night was counted. Every seed sown in obedience will bear fruit in due time. The ridicule you endured was not a sign of weakness, it was confirmation of your assignment. You didn't fight to be liked, you fought to be right with God. You weren't seeking man's approval, you were aligning with heaven's agenda. And now, the time has come for the same world that mocked your obedience to witness your elevation. God is not about to bless you in private, He is going to promote you in public. Your life is about to become evidence, proof that God honors those who honor Him, proof that living set apart is not a waste, proof that purity still has power. You're not stepping into success, you're stepping into prophecy fulfilled. The tables are turning, the same mouths that laughed will fall silent in awe. The same eyes that looked down on you will now look up and say, surely the hand of the Lord is upon them. This next season will not be built on your connections, your charm, or your charisma. It will be built on the very things they ridiculed: your faith, your endurance, your consecration. And in that, God will receive all the glory. Because when He lifts up someone the world tried to break down, no one can deny His power. So stand firm, not in pride, but in purpose. You were never meant to fit in. You were designed, shaped, and called to stand out. You said, abundance will follow obedience, obey in the small, and the overflow will come. When God knows He can trust your hand, He will fill it with kingdom resources. Expend it in and 500 words, but do not add subheading and ending sentence. ChatGPT said, God does not measure greatness the way the world does. He doesn't look at numbers, applause, or platforms. He looks at the heart, the motive, the posture of your soul. Obedience is not about doing grand things in front of crowds. It's about doing the right things when no one is watching. It's about saying yes in the quiet, being faithful in the unseen, and staying pure when compromise seems easier. When God finds someone who obeys Him in the small, He prepares that person to handle the overflow of abundance. Too often, people pray for increase while ignoring the instruction. They want the fruit without sowing the seed. They want promotion without process. But God's system is different. He tests before He trusts. He watches how you handle the little before He releases the much. If you can be faithful with what's in your hand right now, the little money, the limited influence, the hidden season, He knows He can trust you with the resources of heaven. Obedience is a seed that always yields a harvest. Even if you don't see the results immediately, heaven is recording every act of faithfulness. When you gave, even when it hurt, He saw it. When you served with joy, even when no one clapped, He remembered. When you stayed humble, even when pride whispered its lies, He honored that. And it is that quiet, consistent, unwavering obedience that prepares the soil for abundance. There is a weight to wealth in the kingdom. God will not give it to those who seek it for themselves. He gives it to those who are aligned with His will, those who have shown that they will steward it with integrity, with generosity, and with purpose. The riches of heaven are not for self-glory, they are for kingdom advancement. And when God sees that your hands are not just open to receive, but willing to release, He pours more. Many think abundance is about hard work alone, but in God's economy, abundance flows through obedience. One word from the Lord, followed correctly, can produce more than years of striving. One divine instruction can unlock a lifetime of favor. It is not about how much you do, but how closely you follow. When God says move, move. When he says wait, wait. When he whispers give, give. When he says forgive, forgive. These small acts create a life that heaven can trust. And when God trusts you, he doesn't just bless you, he uses you. He multiplies through you. He flows through your life like a river, blessing others as you walk in step with his Spirit. This is not just about being rich. It's about being positioned to build, to give, to rescue, to restore. God is looking for people he can trust with more. And the ones who obey in the small will find themselves walking in more than they ever asked for. You said, "Your time is now no more shrinking back. This is your appointed hour." You are the light in a dark economy, the leader in a lost generation. This is your moment to rise. Expend it in and 500 words, but do not add subheading and ending sentence, ChatGPT said. There comes a moment in every chosen life where heaven sounds the alarm, where the Spirit whispers with clarity, no more shrinking back. You have spent enough time hiding your brilliance, second, guessing your calling, downplaying your anointing to make others comfortable, but the time for silence has passed. The time for small thinking is over. This is your appointed hour, not by accident, but by divine orchestration. You were born for this moment, prepared through trials, refined by fire, and positioned by the hand of God. For too long, the world tried to convince you that your voice was too loud, your dreams too big, your faith too radical. You were told to wait your turn, to lower your expectations, to blend in. But what they didn't know is that God was preparing a leader in the wilderness. They didn't see the oil being poured over your head in secret. They didn't hear the instructions whispered in your spirit when you had nothing but tears and trust. They don't know the weight of the word that rests upon your life. You were never meant to sit in the background. You were never meant to follow the crowd. You were crafted by heaven to lead in uncertain times, to bring clarity in chaos, and to shine when everything around you looks dark. This generation is starving for truth, and you carry it. They are thirsty for righteousness, and it flows from your life. They are lost in noise, but your voice carries authority from the throne room. You've questioned your timing, you've wondered if you missed your window, but hear this: God is never late, he is never early, he is precise, he knows when to reveal what he has concealed, and now he is saying it's time to write what he told you to write. Time to speak what you've been afraid to say. Time to build what you've been dreaming in silence. Time to walk in rooms you used to feel unqualified for, because now you don't walk in by credentials, you walk in by calling. Fear had its moment, doubt had its voice, but faith is rising, and so are you. You've carried vision long enough, now it's time to deliver it. You've held potential, now it's time to produce. The world may be confused, but you are clear. The economy may be shaking, but your foundation is unmovable. You are not here to survive this season, you are here to lead through it. God did not bring you this far to let you fade. He brought you here to elevate, to impact, to change the narrative. There is no more room for shrinking, no more time for excuses, no more permission to stay silent when your generation needs your voice. You've been anointed, appointed, and affirmed by heaven. What's inside you is greater than what's around you. You are the answer to a question this world is desperate to have answered. You are the light, the leader, the vessel, and your time is now.